Hello, people. Welcome to Marriage Mondays with Nick and Trina Brinson. And tonight we're going to talk about the top 5 needs of the man and the woman in the marriage relationship. So we just want to thank y'all for coming in tonight and just joining us as we discuss this topic.
Yep. Yeah, so we represent Crown Kingdom Cultural Center. And so our pastors, Bishop Finest Bush Jr., and his wife Denise Bush, and they've been teaching to us really about why men and women mistreat one another and how that goes back really to issues that are deeper than us as individuals. It's in our DNA, but becoming aware of that makes a difference. So tonight we want to just take a very small segment of what he discussed yesterday and just kind of zero in on it and highlight those 5 needs that are generally considered, really from a psychological standpoint, considered to be the top 5 needs of men and the top 5 needs of women within the context of marriage. We see y'all coming in pretty strong today, so we thank y'all for joining us. Some of y'all got a little tap on the shoulder with the tag I just sent out a little while ago. So we're glad you came on in. Go ahead and share this post, like and share. That helps us to get this video circulated to more people so that we can reach as many people as can benefit from the information that we're giving out.
Yes, and these topics that we're going to talk about may not apply, to every part of your relationship, but we think they are worthwhile to talk about and to get the discussion started in your house.
And I think, honestly, every relationship, I think it will apply to every relationship. Your order for those top 5 might be different, but I think they're pretty universal. But it's important for you to discuss with your spouse, how you feel about those top 5 that are listed. Do they ring true for you? Do you see things differently from your perspective? Because what matters is what your spouse thinks and feels and what your particular spouse needs, not so much what is largely considered to be a general consensus. Because no one is average. Average is no one. It's just information that gets you to come to a better understanding of people in general. So we want you to take this information and realize it does have value. Figure out how it applies to your marriage relationship, how it applies to you individually and to your spouse. Okay?
Right. So with that said, do we need to get started? Want to go ahead and get started?
Yeah, I think let's start with the men first.
Oh yeah, we'll go one at a time. I'll do one and you do one.
I think that can be confusing. I prefer to do like all the men then all the women. But that's my preference.
I know. So I guess we'll comment on what they are. All right, when we come to each one of them. So we'll go with what my wife said we can do. The top 5 for men, and I'm just gonna list them first, and then I'll go back and talk about them. First one is the sexual fulfillment. The second one is recreational need. The third one is having an attractive spouse. The fourth one is domestic support, and the fifth one is the need for admiration in the marriage. So let's go back to the first one, sexual fulfillment. We always hear that men's first desire for their wives is sex, and there's that thing that men just need to have sex on a regular basis in order to be fulfilled in the marriage. And actually, the bishop read us a note yesterday in church, and it listed this man who he was trying to have sex with his wife 365 times in a year, and then he actually accomplished it having sex with his wife 36 times. Then he listed the times or the things that happened that prevented it. So with that said, that was kind of a comical note in church yesterday. So, but one thing that sex does for a man is and we don't want to just think sex is just physical for a man, but sex actually helps to build the confidence of a man, and that he has actually accomplished something and then put something forth with his wife. And that accomplishment also leads to connection with his wife. There's nothing I don't think anybody can do to get closer to another individual than the connection of sex, because you're actually coming together and you're forming a one unified body when that activity is actually happening. Also, it has some benefits physically. It's a great stress reliever. There's very few things in in this life that can satisfy you like sex can. And it feels good when it's done right under the right circumstances. So for the man, sex is one thing that he values. You got anything you want to say about that one?
Well, I'm not a man.
Right.
So I can't speak to how important that is to men, but I think it is important for women to understand that it's not just a desire, that it is an actual need, and that's how a man is designed. I think it's important to consider the quality of the sex. I feel like that's what's missing for a lot of times for women. I mean, this ain't really that kind of show to dig too deep into it, but I think the reality is that a lot of times, when you have a woman who feels like she's being badgered, by a constant barrage of requests for sex, that I think then it's not being fulfilling for her as it is fulfilling for him. But if it were mutually fulfilling, I think you'd have less conflict surrounding sex. If it was a win-win for everybody. Does that make sense? You staring into the camera like I'm not talking to you.
I'm looking at you. I'm actually looking at you over there.
Okay, yeah. But I feel like that's a big part of what's missing. When Bishop was reading the letter yesterday, I'm like, every day, somebody coming at you every single day. It's like, what have you done to build up the connection between the two of you in order for her to also be desiring sex at the same time that the man is desiring sex? That should be a priority, that it should be a mutually agreed upon something that both will want to participate in. So Bishop Bush says he's going to explain more about that tomorrow at noon, which is, we want you guys to make sure you catch that, because tomorrow at noon there is another discussion similar to what we're discussing, so a lot higher level, I must say. But we want you to catch that on our church Facebook page, as well as it'll be on Finest Bush Jr.'s page, who is our pastor. It'll be on both pages, and we encourage you to catch that tomorrow to get more information on what we're talking about. Okay. But that's what I think about the sexual fulfillment. I think the man would have more success with more frequency of sex if he was more concerned about her enjoyment of sex and not just his own.
Yeah, because that one part of that where the woman was chewing gum 6 times.
I mean, come on.
While you're trying to have, after he was got the goal of actually having sex with her, she was chewing gum. Something just wasn't right about that.
Yeah. So if she's that disinterested in it, then it's not being accomplished for her. She's not getting anything out of it.
But that's the number one for men, though. That's
for most men. Most men.
Okay, and we're just gonna go through these. The next one is number 2 on this list, recreation. This is one that, a man likes to compete. A man likes to get out there and play games and do things that fulfill him in his what I consider the natural state, where a man was the hunter and went out and hunt and they hunt in tribes of men, and you had the camaraderie with men. That is where I think this comes from, because men can get together and compete in marbles and have a great time. And that recreation and that aspect of bonding with a man, it helps. Now, how does that relate to the woman, to the marriage relationship? If the wife, who may not be necessarily interested in, say, football or basketball or something of that nature, at times she may need to show some interest in those things to build a connection between the two. She may not be a rah-rah fan, but because he's interested in it, it may pay dividends within the marriage relationship for her to show some interest in those activities. For us, I know my wife really is not a football fan. No stretch of the imagination. But when we go to places like Dave and Buster's, she'll play video games with me, and we can compete doing certain things. And that shows that she's willing to go out there and do some stuff recreational with me. I mean, it's not high activity. It's not something you're going to start sweating at and those are things that she really don't like. Am I right? Mm-hmm. Okay. So those things that you can do, try to do something recreational that both of y'all can benefit from and have a good time doing. You got anything?
I did play not cornball. What's it called?
What you talking about?
Well, at my anniversary trip.
Oh yeah, she played
He thought it was the
cornhole.
greatest thing in the world.
Cornhole with me, and she actually beat me one time. That was a good game. So she did actually play some recreational stuff with me. That's that builds relationship with us. Okay.
Well, I'll say that this particular need, and I can't speak for all women, but I don't know this to be a need for women at all.
Right.
The recreational activity. So I think it's something that doesn't come natural to a woman to understand. Because I can go my whole life and not compete with anybody, and I'm okay.
Well, see, with I understand where you're coming from because you haven't dealt with women that do this, but coming out of my PE department at Georgia Southern, when we were learning, when we were learning to teach physical education, there were some very competitive females that really enjoy competing on a high level, and they did.
Is it a necessity though?
Well, most of them are now coaches, and they have jobs in PE, and they coach. So, maybe it was a necessity for them. I didn't have that depth of discussion with them back then, but I knew they'd like to compete just as much as the men did.
I do know there are plenty of women that enjoy competing. I just don't know that it would ever make a top 5 list, even for those women that are involved in sports activities. I would be interested to know. I can't speak for them, not even one little bit, because I don't relate. But I would be very interested to know if their list would be altered by that. So,
just like my friend Juan, Pastor Juan Humphrey said, his daughter is crazy about basketball. I would say, just based on what I've seen on Facebook from her, that's one of her peak.
But you don't know that though. You don't know that. You don't know that to be a top necessity. Is that going to be above the things that are listed? I just think it's an interesting point.
Right.
Because not a lot of women enjoy sports. That's not really what I don't think that's really what this is about. But the fact that this is within the top 5 needs, in fact, this listed as number 2 under sex. I mean, that's really high. See, Tia is saying nah, So I think it's a point of conversation. I would love to have a conversation with a variety of women around that to maybe come to an understanding. But I would be extremely surprised if it would make the top 5, even for those women that are really, really, really into sports. So I don't know. Y'all give me some feedback. If we have some athletic women or some real competitive women, I understand it may be important to you, but would it make your top 5 list of things that you need inside your marriage to make your marriage work?
Right.
So I think it's just an interesting point of conversation. So I digress.
Okay. Well, Jennifer Bush says she's competitive, but definitely not a necessity.
That's what I was kind of thinking. I'd love to hear from some more.
Okay. Yeah.
Not the top 5.
Well, we'll get to the whatever,
Thank
next.
you, Jennifer.
All right. Men have a need for an attractive spouse. And that doesn't mean we're looking for a skinny woman or a woman with everybody's not looking for the same type of woman.
Right.
But the woman that you have, you look for her to be an attractive person to you. And it's not the fact that, and the way to do that is to make your wife attractive to you, is sit down and talk to her like, I really like your hair.
You ain't even got to sit down. Just give her compliments about what you like.
Well, that's good. That's a good tip.
So, this is one of the things that I get on to you about.
She said, "Get on to me."
I do, and you know it's true when I say it. You gonna know it's true. Just hold on tight. Is you can think that your wife looks nice, but that's not enough. You need to verbally say it. Don't you think?
Okay, yeah.
Right. And so that's what I'm saying is when you make comments, particularly if something is different on her and you like it, you need to comment and let her know that. Or if something is not your favorite and she asks your opinion, I wouldn't be out here just volunteering. You might get your head cut off a little bit for that, but just to give some feedback in a respectful way about what you like or what you prefer.
Right. As far as giving comments about things I like about her, I do probably need to do that a lot more. But then there are things where she'll ask me, do you like this? And I'm like, mm-mm.
But I appreciate that.
Nope.
Like, or I'll, if I put something on and I'm like, does this look crazy? Mm-hmm. You're like, oh, I think you might want to choose something else. So you didn't say it looked crazy, even if it did look crazy. I feel like that was a respectful answer, but I appreciate the honesty, which is one of the things we're going to talk about. Right. For women. Mm-hmm. I appreciate that. I'd rather you tell me rather than to have me out here looking crazy, or you see I'm looking crazy. You just gonna let me go out in the world, looking off.
Ooh, one day last week, y'all, she came to work. Oh, I'm not gonna tell that story. All right, we're gonna go straight ahead. What you looking at me like that for?
Cause you talking crazy.
We'll talk about that hair day you came in after you got caught in the rain.
My hairdresser was sick. Now, doggone it, I can't help it. And she probably watching. I want her to know how much she's valued. Yeah, I can't help that. I can't help the rain.
I just had to go, brush my baby hair down. I'm like, ooh, boo, yeah, that's yeah. But going on to the fourth one, domestic support. We thrive on having domestic support in our house. We, as a man, we want things taken care of when we get here, and if we got to play a part in that, it's good to make sure that happens. So, when you say domestic support, especially when I was coaching football and was gone all day long and most of the night, it was good to come home and know things in order. Although that was a lot on her, it was good to come home and find the house was in good order. But, as the years went on and the girls started coming along and it's got to be too much, then some of that really had to be put back on me. And right. So, it felt good to be able to be in a position to change some things in my life to make sure that that I was supporting her as well as she was supporting me as far as what goes on in the home. So that was really, really important to me as far as I think most men.
Okay, but this is the thing, right? Making sure that the home is taken care of. Mm-hmm. And I think that has to be definitely a team effort, because if you're taking care of a home in a way that is unsatisfying to your husband. For example, if you feel like it's fine for the kids to mess up the house all day and then you just clean up at night, but your husband has a problem with coming home to toys all over the floor, but when you got young kids, you're like, well, it doesn't make sense to clean up, during the day because the kids are just going to get it back dirty. After you clean it up, it doesn't make any sense. So that's something you all need to be able to communicate about, to decide what's realistic, what's acceptable in your home, what strategies you're going to use in your home for maintaining it in a way that provides a peaceful way for him to come home, a peaceful house when he gets home, or her, whoever's the one that's going out, coming back in, or even if it's both. But just getting on the same page so that the house runs in a way that's satisfying to both people. But, that domestic support piece, it might be a little surprising that that's one of the man's 5 basic needs, but he does need to know that his family is taken care of.
Yes.
And it's for both people. It's not just for women. We both clean up the house. He does more outside because I don't do nothing outside. But that's not true. I do clean up the deck or whatever. I like the chairs and the tables and stuff on the back porch and the deck. I do. When we got covered, I do. Who cleaned it off the last time? Okay. So So we do share the workload, particularly inside the home. We both work. We share the load. That's just something we've agreed upon. But if the agreement is for you as the woman of the house to keep the house clean, then you got to understand that's important for you to do. You got to come to a consensus.
Right. I like this family. I like this family stuff online.
Jennifer trying to get her mama right. But Cheryl right.
She's right now. Yeah, she is right.
You don't nasty house now.
No.
Yeah, that's important. That's very important.
That's great.
Which is why I feel like it's important to make sure that, I'm raising girls, but I think even if I had boys, you need to know how to clean up.
Mm-hmm. And I would support that, to, help her out with making sure they do what they're supposed to do. If we had boys in the household. All right. And the last one we're going to talk about before we get to the women is admiration. If your husband or if your husband is his love language is words of affirmation, it's good to tell him what he's doing well often. Don't hold back the very important. I appreciate you, or I think you made a good decision right here, or you did this well, and I appreciate you being the man of this household and protecting us and guiding us and being a godly man. Those words make a difference. I was actually talking to a young guy, and he was a little distraught by the fact that he didn't think that his wife appreciated what he had accomplished. And he was telling me a story, and I was feeling his heart. And I basically asked him. I said, "Do you want to have a conversation with him? So we can get some of this out." He was like, "No, no, no, Coach. I'm a do it myself." And I commended him for going to his wife and expressing, this is what I need from you in order to be a fulfilled man. This is what I want for you to do for me. And it says a lot when a man can go to his wife and tell her exactly what he needs in a relationship. That helps to build that intimacy, that helps to build the relationship, that helps to build that connectivity when he can explain himself fully to her.
Okay, admiration though. You were saying he was lacking her admiring him,
right? She didn't feel
he
didn't feel like appreciated, and she wasn't saying stuff to make him feel that way.
Okay, I was just making sure I follow you. Advice that I always feel is very important for women, especially before they choose a man to marry. Don't marry a man that you can't admire. Don't marry a man that you cannot admire. If you can't admire him, you can't respect him. If you don't respect him, it's just not going to work. It's not going to be a strong relationship. So you have to marry somebody who has some admirable qualities about them that you can express to them, because that's necessary. I mean, we kind of, as women, joke around about the male ego, but we have to, that's something we have to take care of. It's up for us to take care of that ego. We have a part to play in that. We got to keep his confidence up and his ego up. You be the one to tell him, that he's good, that he's doing a good job. Don't let all the admiration come from outside the family. Those comments are going fast. Can you catch what Bishop said on yours? Don't be let it come from everywhere else, and then you're not giving him admiration and respect from inside your home. Make it a point to say things that are positive, particularly if you're going to be bold enough to say the things that you don't want, as you should be able to communicate those things, but also communicate those things that are favorable, the things you respect about him. Speak to his future, about what you believe he's capable of. Be his support. And if you can't be that, then you might not, have a strong relationship.
Right. You might. Well, what Bishop said is honest admiration is tremendous motivator for men. When he knows that you think he's wonderful, that he's capable, that he's doing a great job, it motivates him to do far more.
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah. I think that's 110% true. So when you, I also saw, I think a comment Bishop said that, make sure that if you're already married, you find things to admire about him, and you say that verbally. Right. You encourage him, in silence and verbally, because sometimes your doubt and your negative feelings can come out even without you saying a word. So your posture towards him, you should be supportive to him in a way that he can feel, and in a way that he can respect himself, even just based off of how you show your respect to him. It builds his confidence, and it, we hear that saying that behind every great man is a great woman. Mm-hmm. That falls into that category. That's something you can do as a woman behind the man, is you encourage him, you build him up. Don't let all the admiration come from outside the home. Even if he's getting a lot of admiration outside the home, you don't let it be that you're not also there cheering him on, or making sure that he understands that you believe in him. Even if other people don't believe in him, you're going to support him. You're going to find a way to build him up and to help him do what he's designed to do. Oh, how he dresses.
How he dresses, how he provides, how he cares for others, his care for his children, and his love for God.
Yeah, those are definitely points to show admiration.
Right.
Yeah, the dresses part can make a big difference, and I think it's a difference in you trying to dress him a certain way that you want him to dress. If he's not willing to make those changes, you kind of got to meet him where he is. But also make your opinions known about what you like for him to wear, what makes him look like you want him to look. How do give him that encouragement? Those are the type of things that help to shape and mold him from a very honest perspective. Speak life to him.
We got a lot of comments tonight. Jennifer Bush says, I think it's important for men to be able to express that because all women aren't emotional and assume men don't need that admiration. That's a very good point. Mm-hmm. When you have a woman that's really not that emotional to you, and that's how you operate on a daily basis, but you need that from her, you got to let her know. You have to let her know. Mm-hmm. Praise him publicly. Let him catch you watching him.
That's good. I also like what Pastor Steele wrote was a wise woman builds her home. That's a loaded statement.
Yes, it is.
And building your home has a big part of that is building up your husband and building up that relationship between the two of you so that that connection is strong. This is good. Y'all are very interested in this topic. Are we gonna be able to do both topics tonight?
I don't think so. We're gonna have to break this up. All
right. Well, let's stick with the top 5 for the male because I want to go back to attractive spouse. I don't think I got to say anything on that part, did I? Maybe I did, but I didn't say what I wanted to say.
What did you want to say?
What I wanted to say is that it's very we did talk about it. Okay. But I don't think I got a chance to say that it's important for women not to get hung up on trying to look like what other women look like. Thinking that is what it's going to take to please your husband. Okay? You got to work with what you got to work with. You need to maximize the body you have. You need to maximize the face you have. You need to maximize the hair you have. It's not about trying to look like somebody else, flipping through magazines and saying, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that. Your husband, my husband don't even like braids. Am I lying?
I don't like braids on you.
Well, there you go.
No, I don't like braids on my wife. I don't.
That's all that matters.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter how much I like, what I might see out there on other women. If that's not going to work inside of my household, and that's not being controlling, that's me pleasing him and him pleasing me. Right. We have to pay attention to what's appealing for the other. Because if I'm walking around here with a hairstyle that he just, that's aggravate him and he don't like it, then I'm not doing a service to my marriage. And so we got to be able to work together on that. Right. So that don't mean he's not going to come to me and say, oh, you better not get no braids. See, we're not communicating like that.
No.
We're not communicating like that. But the fact that he expressed that to me, and I don't even think he said it more than 1 or 2 times, I just remember that because it's not really a lot that he doesn't like. And so if he gives me information and he shares that that's just not something he really likes, then I'm going to take note of it. And work around. It's a lot of other hairstyles out there that work.
It does. That one working for you tonight?
Thank you, because it's the first time I've worn it like this, so I appreciate you recognizing because I was going to call y'all. But
all right.
Yes, thank you so much.
Got that in, y'all.
Thank you very much. So, so that's what I wanted to say, and it's not okay for you to only be concerned about what's comfortable for you as a individual woman. When you're married, you have to factor in what your husband wants to. And if he don't want you walking around in a muumuu and a scarf on your head when he gets home, don't be walking around in a muumuu with a scarf on your head when he gets home.
But if he like it, you do it though.
But if he likes it,
you do it.
Go for it.
Yes.
It is about both of you. I think women have this thing about not wanting to be controlled by a man. And rightly so. It's not about being controlled. Control and submission are 2 totally different things. Yes, it is. Totally different. And so, but if you know what your husband likes, give him what he likes.
Absolutely. Wow. This has been a great lesson, and people really
we didn't even get halfway through it.
We like our bishop on this one, y'all.
Yeah.
But we're going to end it.
Well, I will
The 30
say,
minutes.
I'm interested to hear what he's going to say about it tomorrow, because I'm sure he will expound on it so much more than we did tonight. Cheryl said, please don't wear your pajamas outside your house. I'm going to stay out of that conversation. Because people going to do what they want to do, and they don't have to do it please me. So I stay away from the bonnet conversation and the pajamas and slippers and all that, because, you know, people going to do what they want to do, and my breath going to come regardless of if they do what I prefer.
I like what Elder Simmons said about a wife should put effort to wear what appeals to her husband.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. That's exactly right.
Yes.
Yeah, because you're married. And you can't just ignore and say, oh, well, I don't like to wear high heel shoes. Well, if your husband loves for you to wear high heel shoes and you're physically able to wear them, right, why are you not wearing them?
Right.
You know, you don't have to wear them 24/7 to the point that your feet messed up, but take that into consideration and don't be so antagonistic about it. Choose to do. Tia say time's up already. I know it was good tonight, wasn't it?
It flowed pretty well.
We could have talked a lot more about this,
but we will revisit this a little bit next week, and we will talk about the 5 needs,
the female side,
5 needs of the female. Yeah. So, with that being said, we really appreciate y'all coming in tonight and interacting with us and making comments and, you know, interacting with each other through the live with each other for people you know. It's been great. I've been really enjoyed this lesson tonight, y'all, and I just want to thank y'all for volunteering and giving your input.
Yeah, being interactive with us. It makes it so much easier for us when we know that you guys are enjoying it and you're engaged. So spread the word. We're going to hashtag it and try to get it out as far as we can so other people around the world can enjoy it. We always are blown away by how far these messages can go. Sometimes when people give comments, we learn how far it's going. So if you're watching it and you're not local, as in Georgia, South Carolina, we want you to go ahead and put in the comments where you're from. It just helps us and encourages us to see where people are from and who's enjoying it and how far it reaches. Sometimes the views can be as much as 1,000, which blows my mind. But I'd love to know who's where these people are that are watching. We had one lady a while back from Trinidad and Tobago to comment. I just really appreciated that she put that in to let us just to say hi and let us know that she was appreciating what we're putting out there. So that's always very encouraging to us. So thank y'all, and we appreciate y'all locals. For sure, y'all keep us motivated. And just one more point,
Miss Cheryl put in her cleaning service in the comments.
Oh, okay.
If you need somebody to work on your house, clean your house, and she said a woman's house should not be nasty. Just look up that number. It's a 803 number, and
Cheryl Jones got a cleaning service.
Oh yeah,
I all this time and I didn't know that.
Well, it's in the comments, so we'll support her and what she's doing, and we thank y'all.
Absolutely.
With that said,
this is good.
From the lady and the coach, we love y'all. Really love y'all tonight. Good night.